What's up YouTube? So recently I got an amazing question on my Patreon community. By the way, link below the video if you want to join. I actually put more content there nowadays than I put on YouTube. But the question is about the different layers that certain players have in their collector's market. Specific, for example, a GOAT versus a legend. And I thought this was an important topic to bring to the YouTube site. So do not forget to leave a like if you also end up finding some value on this video. And also subscribe if you are new to my channel. That said, let's go into the video and I hope you have fun. I have a question for the Q&A as well. In years of mass production, it is very important to focus only on the top rookie cards of a certain player. I would agree with that. This investable number depends if the player is one of the GOATs or only a legend of the game. Do you agree? Short answer, yes. If you agree, can you please give us a guess how big these two numbers are? That's where things get a bit more tricky because that will be highly speculative. Just to explain a random example, if you say for Messi rookies it's grade 8 and plus, you have around 2.7k cards just on PSA. So, amazing question, my friend, and thank you so much for putting this on the Patreon community. But I actually had to talk a lot about this one. So you started, do you agree? And I agree. I mean, certain players, they have much stronger market than the others. The GOAT players being the best example you can give to a stronger market, a market with different layers. But I would say this, look, I agree with you 100%. Let's start that way. Even when it comes to GOATs, this theory is 100% true. Why? Pelé and Messi are the two GOATs that have more rookie cards and pop total and are the ones that do the best by a good margin in the soccer card market. Ronaldo have 2 rookies and Maradona have 4. One really, let's be real, and they don't compete with Messi, Pelé in general. So you can see that we are in the GOAT market, but even in the GOAT market, the players that have more collectors, even if they have more product available, they still do better than the others that don't have such stronger markets. Talking from the top of my head, I know Messi is the one that have the most rookie cards out there in terms of number, all grades. I believe Pelé is second. I believe Cristiano Ronaldo is third, and Maradona is the last one. And ironic, I believe Maradona is the one that does the worst. So you can see your logic even applies in the GOAT market. Looking at other markets, I think all grades will do very well for the GOAT players, since you end up talking about the PSA 8s, for example, for Messi. Yes, the 80s, and I know you end up not making this claim, but this is a claim I tend to see online. Yes, the 80s and above tend to be the grade that top collectors went the most, but them being the best buy, I also believe is very, very debatable. Long run, you buying a Messi Campeón PSA 5, random example of course, or a PSA 8 can be very similar in terms of return, or change the PSA Campeón PSA 5 and put the Mundichrome you are seeing on the screen, because I actually have an amazing example to you. The market tends to increase/decrease in a very similar trend, all grades, but every card will be a card, every case will be a case. Of course, if a card is pop 20k, but the 9s and 10s are like 20 copies, of course, that this logic may not apply that well. But if the grades are very well distributed, buying the best grade versus the worst grade, a lot of times people overrate that stuff a bit too much. Take a look at the Messi Mundichrome you are seeing on the screen. Recently, there was a very strong sale for a PSA 10 copy on Goldin. And if you take a look at a 1 year rate of growth for different grades, you can see that the PSA 10 ended up increasing 103%. Amazing, of course. And in this case, you can make an argument that the best grade end up doing the best. But I also believe this was, a bit random, because if the sale goes a bit lower and at the end of the day, cards are not super liquid, and you have to have that in mind. But yes, the 10 is doing very well. But take a look at the PSA 9. I mean, PSA 9 a lot of times is the grade that people say, if you cannot afford the 10, the 9 will be your best option. The PSA 9 is still doing well, but is not as well as the 10 by any means. Is up 12%. Guess what? The PSA 8 is actually up 20%. Again, 1 year rate of growth. If you change the numbers will be different. For the example I have today, those numbers are actually correct. PSA 7 is up almost 20% also, and the PSA 6, surprise, is up 36%. And maybe even more surprise is that the raw, and raw can vary a lot, of course, but the raw in general is up 71% comparing with 1 year ago. So looking at those numbers, you can see that, look, let's be real. A lot of people will tell you, oh no, the 9s will be much better than the 80s, or the 9s will be much better than the 7s or even the 6s. And if you look at the 6s, is actually where you have the best return if you exclude the PSA 10. So this is a topic where I think a lot of people will disagree with me, and that's fine. At the end of the day, we are all allowed to have different opinions. But for me, the key thing is having the card you believe have great fundamentals, and that's it. That card have great fundamentals, I will buy the grade I can afford. Of course, you have to see the entry point, if it's an entry point that makes sense for the time you are actually buying the card. But if the card have great fundamentals and you tell me, André, should I buy 2 PSA 8s or 1 PSA 9? I honestly don't know. I believe probably will be quite similar, and you have to have one thing in mind. Don't be surprised if 1 year from now I make this video again and I bring stats that are up to date, and all of a sudden the 10 is one of the ones that does the worst and the 9 is the one that does the best. This is something that I've been noticing in MTG for many years, and in soccer this narrative is a false one, in the sense that they think the top grades are the ones that do the best. Again, every case will be a case, but in general the market tends to be much more close than people think in all the grades. One thing that I would say, and I actually made a video on Patreon about this probably 1 year ago, is that when the market was going down quite bad, if you compare the top grades for the Henry Foot, the Zidane Foot, versus the lower grades are doing much better, and the top grades are the ones getting completely annihilated. And you can tell me, okay, but they also end up exploding much more than the 2s. That's debatable. See, the 2s also end up having a crazy growth, and they also, the 2s, the one that the 3s, you get the point, right? The lower grades, but they end up holding much better. So one theory that I have, for example, for this PSA 6, and maybe this is something I'm speculating too much, but I always felt for the MA7-1Bs, for example, PSA 6 was the grade that people end up liking the most, because it's a grade that you can still buy on a budget, and there is a lot of people collecting in a budget, so almost a collector's grade, and is the grade that in PSA, in BGS, in SGC, cards start having a nice eye appeal, and that alone can be huge, as you can imagine. So let's refocus. This is a topic where I think a lot of people disagree with me. Like I said, that's fine. I think the key thing is if the card have great fundamentals, that's it. If that's the case, go forward, as long as the entry point is fair. And saying this grade will be better than the other is quite risky. Don't engage on that narratives, because you actually can look really bad in one mount, in 1 year. And we have a lot of examples in the soccer card market about this. We all remember the narrative, high-end is safer. Well, in a lot of sports / other card markets, this example is just not true. Same can be applied in condition rarity. I really remember a lot of people telling me, André, you need to buy the high-end stuff. The high-end stuff will be the ones that will be doing the best. And maybe that could be true, but that also can be false, and that's a perspective more people have to bring about. At the end of the day, there is an investor's market, there is a collector's market, there is a flipper's market, but all of them have opportunity. Hey guys, quick pause on this one. First of all, hope you are enjoying the video. If that's the case, do not forget to leave a like, but let me share with you 2 things. The first is I have a Patreon community that is growing super fast. I put a lot of content there. If you joined right now, you pay around $10, but you have access to more than 100 exclusive videos. It's an amazing place to learn about the soccer card market, and you also support the channel. Link below the video and also in the comments. The second thing is my Discord server. We are more than 1,000 members. I'm gonna say it again, 1,000 members. And it's an amazing community, an amazing place to interact with me, to interact with other collectors. to learn and share about the soccer card market. Similar to Patreon, link will also be below the video. If $10 is a lot of money to you, don't feel pressure to join the Patreon. For me, it's not super relevant. Of course, I would love to see you there, but at least join the Discord. That's totally free and is an amazing place to learn about the soccer card market, like I said a couple of seconds ago. Now let's continue with this one, and I hope you have fun. To finish my thoughts on this is basically going back to the initial question, right? There is layers of the depth when it comes to different players. Today I bring an example of Cristiano Ronaldo and Iniesta, two players that I love. Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, one of the goats, and Iniesta, for me at least, one of the best midfielders ever. But of course, those two players have completely different markets. But for both, you should apply the same logic. Buy relevant cards, buy cards with great fundamentals. Taking a look at the Cristiano Ronaldo market, and by the way, don't take these examples too serious. I end up putting cards that I think are relevant, but I end up not thinking this for too long. Flawless probably should be there, Noir should be there for Ronaldo. But you guys get the point. You have, of course, the rookie cards that in terms of liquidity, they have a strong market. Then you have other sets like Prism, like Chrome, like second-year cards, first cards with Portugal, even though those are actually the Euros, not the 2006, but you guys get the point. Inserts, random gold sets that have strong condition rated, the Panini UCL. But the ramifications are huge in the Cristiano Ronaldo market. And I could put even more cards below that, because Cristiano Ronaldo have a lot of collectors, have a lot of relevant cards. Because of that, when you approach a Cristiano Ronaldo market, your perspective will be much different than approaching, for example, Iniesta, than approaching, for example, a player like Frank Ribéry, Arjen Robben, Bergkamp. You guys get the point, right? Is much different. Iniesta, for example, let's be real, his market, the card that have probably the most collectors chasing right now is probably or the Mundichrome or the rookie cards from Panini Sports Superliga de Estrelas, and after that, not a lot. People will go for what? Probably for Topps Chrome, for the Prism 2014, mainly because those sets are so important. But after that, there is a huge drop, and that's why I'm saying layers of depth are quite different from Iniesta to Cristiano Ronaldo, and even to Cristiano Ronaldo to Messi. For example, right now, the Messi market, I think, have more depth than the Cristiano Ronaldo, but compare the Cristiano Ronaldo market with Iniesta, Cristiano Ronaldo have much more depth. So, like you said, more than ever is important to focus in key cards, key rookies, but also being aware of how difficult and subjective this topic can be. I apply basic fundamentals to cards and tends to work for me. I know I bring this example a lot of times and you guys are probably tired of listening to this, but I always liked, for example, a player like Zidane, a player like Platini, because they just have one rookie. So if you really think about the most important cards for them, it's quite obvious. And they just have one option. Even if the pop is a bit higher, you are fine with that because, but this will be the most important card and this player in terms of greatness is up there. So great question, my friend. Amazing topic to think about. And I totally agree. I think you can take a bit more risky in the GOAT market than you can take for a player like Iniesta. You should focus just on key cards. All of this conversation goes away if you are, for example, an Iniesta collector and if you want to have all the cards you can afford for Iniesta. Nothing wrong with that, and you may even do well long run. I just think right now will be a bit more speculative than, for example, a player like Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, the entry point will also be different. Question number 5. And that's it, my friends. Hope you end up enjoying this video. If that's the case, do not forget to leave a like. Also, consider to subscribe. And another thing that is so important, check all the links below the video. I will leave a link for my Discord server, totally free to join. More than 1,000 members, an amazing community to talk about the soccer card market. Also, take a look at my links for the Talking Cards podcast, specific in Apple and Spotify. Also, consider to leave a review there. Means a lot. Of course, I also have to mention my Patreon community. To join the Patreon, you have to pay $10. Don't feel any pressure, but if you like my content on YouTube, you may like my content there. And see you guys next time. Bye.